Shenanigans.
Um, as we know, last session, um, we faced off with the a dozen of the unknown ships, along with the half dozen of the Herodian ships. They an a partial treaty was established, and by that I mean nobody fired at each other. Um, when it was discovered that once the Herodian were actually looking for this same derelict ship as these unknowns, and well, quite frankly, once the unknowns realized that what was stolen from them had been deceased, well, they didn't care so much anymore, and they took off. In their wake, there was a bit of a meeting with the Herodian where we have discovered that Dasan and his brother Daem are essentially the main two in charge of this pack, with Dasan being the main one. And um, while meeting with them, we discovered that, well, they quite frankly weren't like typical Herodian. They knew the Starfleet code and well, perhaps for your benefit, uh, put on a Starfleet face for their ship with their Starfleet issued holographic system given to them by then Captain Catherine Janeway. Um, after after meeting with them for some time, um, it was decided that everyone would go back to Deep Space 17 together, Herodian and Nightingale et al. And during this time, Dr. Vanderveers, assisted by Kiana and Dr. Mountain, were not only discovering but inventing the inoculation immunity cure for the ails that have been plaguing pretty much anyone that goes into the Ebon Expanse on a couple sectors away. And now, as the expedition prepares to explore the Expanse, the Nightingale prepares to explore, well, the opposite direction. As once they finally got back to Deep Space 17, they were offered an invitation, or, well, almost an ultimatum to meet in the system Azuria. And that is where we left off. However, where we're starting, um, it's some time has passed, a couple hours, and it's the night in or evening before the Nightingale is slated to blast off to their new adventure. And, well, we have a dinner that has been quite frankly pushed off for quite some time. So, as we know, as Desesh is running behind a couple minutes, we have Nira, Kiana, and Vanderveers all in front of Jill's quarters as she takes one last look at her placement.
Yeah, is scurrying around the table for one last second. Is that right? Is that good? Okay. Uh, enter.
Uh, And the captain will open the door and walk in.
And And I'll say, just Mr. Vanderveer, I gave you three tokens to choose from.
As as much as I love the other two, let's save those and go with the one on the left bottom.
Oh, the Napoleon was awesome.
It will come back, but this is going
Okay.
to be a better day.
Yep. Even Ari has like a little bow around her collar.
that gets a smile from Jill. Like, oh, well, thank you for coming. And I suppose the session's running a little late. That's okay. And
Mm-hmm. Cut to Desesh, who's like, looking in the mirror and like trying to make himself look perfect, practicing.
Mm-hmm. And one stark difference, besides being in a in a more formal dress, much like everybody else, is she's actually wearing her Jerisa, the disc that Risens normally have on her forehead. So, man. Thank you. Well, while we're waiting for the sesh, we can have some drinks, and I have a few selections here.
Oh no, yeah. She pulls. Nero will pull out a weird shaped bottle. The liquid is like a deep maroon color, almost like blood wine, but not quite. Here you go. That wine I was telling you about.
Oh, excellent. Well, I suppose we can start with this then. With a smile, and
She nods.
there's like along one table. There's a number of glasses with a couple different things, but that's not important. There's always more glasses to pour, and she'll busy herself with getting several glasses fixed up, and there will be 5, but she'll hand out the 3 to everybody. It's like, well, I was hoping for all of us to be here first, but I'm glad everybody could make it.
We can have the door chime at this point. The session isn't running that late.
Oh, speak of the devil. And Joe will actually go to the door and hit the thing for it to open.
Okay.
Ah, there you are.
Yep. Desesh is there. He's dressed in his nice, like, sort of black suit looking thing with no collar. Kind of fashion forward for the 24th century. He's got about a shoebox sized package under his arm, but he says, "Chilean, thanks for inviting us all. That's lovely. What may I ask?" He notices the jewelry. It's also notable that he's wearing his dajapa, which he doesn't normally do when he's wearing his uniform.
Was he referring to the disc on her forehead?
Yes, he's not familiar with it.
Oh, I don't normally wear it, being on duty, but considering this is my function and I want us all to get comfortable and get to know each other a little bit better, it seemed appropriate. I wear my Jarisa. It's traditional for Horizons.
Oh yeah, well, he kind of gestures to his dajapa. I certainly understand.
And he gets a glass of some deep maroon liquid in a wine glass handed to him. Here, come in.
He takes it and he kind of like looks around and sees a chair nearby and puts his package down, and joins the party.
You both know that I really don't have any rules against you wearing your native jewelry, she says.
Oh, I know, Captain. It's not been required, but there are some fairly, shall we say, stodgy JAG judges that, well, I just found it was better to not muddy the waters when my client's freedom was at stake. So I guess it's just become habit with me at this point.
She nods. She is in an old-fashioned dress, like Arthurian looking. It is bright red, and she does wear the crown. She has the crown on as well. Also, airy little pink bow around the upper part of her collar.
Nice.
Kiana raises
Yep.
her glass towards Jill and comments about how beautiful everything looks, and thank you for arranging this. And I look forward to getting to know everyone a little bit better tonight.
Oh, yes,
It has been all
absolutely.
business.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has.
Well, first things first, and she'll lift up her glass to everybody. Say, to a new beginning for everybody.
New beginnings.
She nods
Here, here.
and she'll raise her glass.
So, Captain, it's your drink. What is it like when everybody drinks it?
It's considering the year that was on the bottle, it is very well preserved. It tastes kind of like boysenberries, blueberries, and chocolate. Which for the Betazoid might mean something, might not. And just like a little bit of like there's this like a small hint of pepper in it. But it's a very sweet wine, but very dry.
Well, Jill definitely be take a sip and just nod in appreciation of it. Oh, this is interesting.
What was it called again?
What was that?
What was it called again?
She looks at the bottle and says, well, the name of it is rubbed off. Unfortunately, it's just the vintage, she says. It was from my planet, she says. Before.
Which I'll hope you appreciate at least my attempt with your recipe.
Oh,
It may not be I hope it'll at least do it justice.
she nods.
I
On
the table,
attempt.
she nods. Along the table is like a number of plates with the little coverings on top. It's like, oh, I'm not sure which anybody want to try first, but going along the table, a couple things from Beta Z, if anybody was interested. We have some Oscoid cocktail, which looks like shrimp cocktail. Kimden rolls, and a small take on Trill Cuisine, Galzac bruschetta, which is regular bruschetta with olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Farther down, Groxy salad with Lita vinaigrette, which is very much a Trill dish. Some kind of chili prawn vegetable stir fry. Kind of the centerpiece, which is very colorful, which is obviously Ryzen, it looks like a type of grilled swordfish. And towards the middle, obviously, is some kind of hasperat, which the Bajoran should recognize almost immediately. Around the swordfish is a little bit of sushi, and then, and the last but not least is I would guess is an orangish looking kind of pie.
Yeah, pretty much. I will state now that I don't know how hot she made it, but if anybody's seen what is it? The hot ones, the wings. When they get to the very last one and it's like 1 million to like 1.5 million Scoville, that's kind of how hot it should be.
Yeah, she'd try to do it justice. So if you're sensitive
my
to
hands over it.
be warned. Fair warning for, and she points out to the Hesperot and the pie. So I tried to do as much justice to the recipes as I could. Otherwise, please, as the saying goes on my world, what's ours is yours.
Mira smiles at that. Right. She'll she'll get like small portions of everything and set her plate down.
Yeah, and if, depending on how much anybody has already been drinking, Jill's first actions is always making sure that glasses are topped off before she touches anything.
Yeah.
Jill, you certainly have outdone yourself.
It's amazing.
Well, I'm Iraj and Nira. You weren't around the first couple of times. It's last couple of months. I've only been able to do a few small things here and there with the refit, but now that we're actually underway, I can. And she gestures around. I can actually put more time towards something like this, and hopefully, more time, a few more times in the future.
So you actually prepared these. This isn't replicated, right? The because I look around your thing and I'm kind of wondering how that works holographically. Within the quarters.
She'll Nero kind of lean back and look past the look kind of past into the living room to see all the cooking up implements, and then just sit back and smirk and let Jill finish.
Yeah, Jill smiles behind her glass, taking a small sip. One of the reasons I went to this extent was to showcase just what you can do, even in just your quarters, with the holographic technology we have installed here. I'll admit, most of this is everything here is hand cooked. Many of the ingredients were replicated.
Well, yeah.
At least you can appreciate some of the spices and plants that were grown in the Arboretum. I was able to bring a few things with me when I first transferred over here. So it's a little bit of half and half.
Yeah, speaking of the Arboretum, Kiana, I saw the Nightingales. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's just a little something.
They certainly wore Ari out the last time we were in the Arboretum. She couldn't stop chasing them.
People who are paying attention will notice that Desesh is actually struggling with his Hasbrat. It seems like he's not used to it. Too hot for him.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, Jill's just fine with it.
Yeah, so the captain.
Really at him.
Vandeveer's working on his seconds already. He's sweating profusely, but he's still eating.
Doctor, would you like some more? And she's looking straight at Vandeveer's.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a potluck, or I'd have brought something like some deviled eggs or a hot dish.
No. All you had to bring was your appetite, and she smiles.
What's the fish over there?
Oh, yes. It's it's hard to say in Rising, but it's in Earth terms, it's a swordfish.
But it's
grilled swordfish with lemon and herbs. It's a very basic recipe, but it's one of those that everything put it all together and it tastes a lot better than it looks.
I caught a marlin once.
Oh?
Yeah, we had a big medical conference. It was down in the Caribbean. Nice place. Pretty water.
That's true. That is very true.
Never been.
It's a little, well, it's probably the closest you're going to get to Ryza on Earth.
Yeah, I'm afraid that frame of reference is lost on me too. Jillian's the first Ryzen I've ever met.
that area of Earth and Ryza are very similar. Ryza is a very tropical planet. If it wasn't for our weather control systems, it would be downpouring everywhere.
You mentioned.
She nods.
Oh yes, the typhoons would be terrible.
Well, fortunately, that's not an issue.
I understand that some of that technology has been started being used on Bajor now that some of the real reclaiming of the climate is starting to get underway.
I have heard that as well, and that's very heartening to hear that what we've developed can help others.
We're slowly creeping back from the war. Has anyone heard any more recent news?
Well, I know that there was a major black marketer that was recently put out of business, but well, she takes a sip of her wine. That's not really my story to tell, but she kind of crinkles her nose.
I'm sorry, I don't I do not know much more than the captain here. As I mentioned, once almost at the end of the war, I was offline.
And, well, frankly, I was shipped off to be a doctor somewhere else at the time. But, I have been meaning to get to Bajor. I never did get to visit.
Well,
Maybe we'll have to make a
Captain,
trip of it sometime.
Possibly.
Captain, if we do ever find ourselves in a position to be able to make our way over to that side, I certainly wouldn't be objecting. Ever since Cisco discovered the Celestial Temple, I've wanted to make a pilgrimage.
That is an amazing sight. You have to see it at least once.
It's my understanding. I mean,
I just hope I don't only see it once. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
Well, compared to other wormholes, it is relatively stable. So
The only stable one, right?
It is.
She nods.
I remember when they discovered it, news was lit up for like 6 months. Wormhole, quadrant this.
Jill chuckles. It was amazing in the beginning. That's true.
I get the impression that the ceasefire and negotiations. I mean, obviously it's a week out, but the admiral seemed to be dealing with the Vorta, and that it was slow going.
Well, good progress is still, even if it's slow, it's still good progress.
Right, so are we going to spend this entire dinner talking about Federation things, or are we going to enjoy ourselves? The captain kind of says abruptly as she takes a bite of her pie and then nods to Jill in approval.
Smiles in response. Oh, we don't have to talk business. If that's what we're comfortable with, we can. I just want everybody here to relax and, like the captain said, enjoy yourselves.
Well, I mean, it's just, business is so dreadfully boring. So,
Indeed.
What has everybody been doing in their spare time? She says.
Well, I have been working on your dog sitter for one thing.
I have heard rumors of you walking around the ship with a husky.
Yes, Cash is, I think, in an intermediate stage at this point. But from what I can see, I've really got to work on the olfactory and tactile components, so that, I mean, as I was telling Jillian, he can fool us, but I don't think he'd fool Airy yet. But if I can make it work, it should make for an additional layer of caution to make sure that Airy is well taken care of.
She nods.
Oh, Raj, you may want to talk to Duncan. It's one of the animal experts we have on the ship.
Really, specifically, what department is that? Medical?
I believe
Yeah, he spends
veterinary.
most of the time in medical, mostly with the animal containment units. He's one specialist in case we have to handle that sort of situation. Not all emergencies are, and she shrugs, humanoid.
Certainly. Yeah, I'll check in. I was actually hoping to put an awful lot of behavioral or behaviorist rather uh, information into.
Hmm. Well, if anybody can give you any insight, he certainly can.
Excellent.
And what about you, Doctor?
Yeah. She turns to the doctors.
Who's on his third plate?
Well, lately I've just been kind of looking through the files in the lab. A good number of Starfleet medical stuff used to come across my desk, but there's a little bit more detail in some of those files that I don't think they particularly advertised to some of the civilian doctors. It's all pretty interesting.
Quite. Being Starfleet does have its benefits to a certain degree.
Well, Doctor, if it helps you accomplish your job, then by all means, make use of it.
Oh, speaking of, the holographic gift that I asked to be made, do we know for how long it is?
I've got it functioning, but I didn't know the circumstance under which you wanted to present it, so he's up and running. Cranky.
Good. Excellent, she says. Well, Doctor, turns out you will probably be getting a new friend tomorrow or later tonight, whenever you get back to your office. I hope you enjoy him.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be a font of knowledge.
I see.
She nods.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of a lot of the crew that are going to be interested in expressing their creativity through holography. But I think we're going to have to uh, have some sort of framework for the creation uh, of actual, like, living, speaking things. I think that we'll get some really great art out of it, but we also have to be careful about you know uh, emergent sentience as an issue.
Yes, and we don't need our biological crew making themselves significant others.
There's
Indeed.
certainly ethical implications with that.
Hmm.
I've actually been contemplating whether we want to try to encourage socialization amongst the Hollow crew. Maybe some sort of sports league or something. I don't know. Is that crass? It's hard to tell.
Not necessarily. I mean, yes, a sports team would be good because, at least in theory, they have the same physical attributes as everyone else. A mental a mental league would probably be where we run into problems.
What about a bowling team?
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, the issue that I would think is that we don't want it, like, at least at first, most Hollow crew would probably just blindly accept whatever extracurriculars as like extensions of their jobs, and that's certainly not the point. But and we certainly don't want it to be our own little fantasy football team or something like that. We have to be respectful about the whole process, but it's important that we try to set ourselves in situations where we can monitor the sort of mental health of our Hollow crew.
Well, that's assuming certain things. Like if the programs that drive the holographic crew are having these wants and desires to do things outside of their tasks.
Well,
This
and
goes to our. I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was going to suggest that if he was worried about the mental implications, we do have a fully functioning psychiatric and psychological department.
Agreed. I was going to put this in their hands, actually.
She nods and looks at Vanderveers. I'm sure you can let go of a few therapists.
You can have as many of those guys as you want. Not my field. I respect their expertise, but they can make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll come into play at some point.
And perhaps as far as cash is concerned, you can always, I'm sure the biolab has some kind of gizmo they can use.
Well, Cash understands English, so shouldn't be, he can be communicated with.
Well, that's good. But I was speaking more for the sensory issues.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, like, I can use hollow diagnostics for the most part, but yeah, I'll have to test him on various levels.
Right. Well, so I've been thinking. Uh I would like you two, when you're not needed in your respective areas, to be on the bridge, she says, if you don't mind. To the two civilians.
That's fine.
Excellent. And
Would we
you
be
feel
assigning them to
Vanderveer?
Alpha Shift then?
She nods. I'm sure we can turn one of those into a couple of the consoles into medical consoles.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
On occasions
That's
that
good.
would work. I do like to do some of my own processing though, so when I'm not doing that.
Of course.
We'll have people for taking over your stations. It'll just be on an as-need basis, I would think.
I'm all for any additional knowledge I can gain. So I'm perfectly fine with doing whatever and wherever you want me.
Well, fortunately, we have a number of modular stations on any of the bridges. If you wanted to handle, say, sensors, it's no problem. I'll show you how to configure the terminal for whichever task you seek to do, and until we have a situation that needs a specific set of consoles.
Doctors, if you don't mind my asking the two of you, how did you end up working with Starfleet? I imagine there's a story there.
Well, for me, I remember hearing on the news that they had some kind of new ship coming up, and there was some kind of an argument with the Federation Council, and a couple of the other member planets had a couple issues. So, as a compromise, Starfleet promised to add some civilians to the ship's roster, which they agreed to. At that time, I was still working. They asked me. I said no. Technically, I retired, but I've been doing it for so long. After about 6 months, I took them up on the offer. I was getting itchy, you know. I just
Was it
paced
the
around my
adventure?
house. No, I do like medicine. It's interesting, and usually when I took a vacation, I'd find a hospital where I was going to work at. Run into all kinds of stuff on Earth. People from all over.
And as for me, I guess some of my experiments and talents that I'd been working on had caught somebody's attention, and they offered me a position here, and I jumped at it because I enjoy learning new things, expanding my knowledge, and what better way to do so? Being on the Enterprise kind of put that little bug in me to want to do more. And I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, and that's how I ended up here.
You were on the Enterprise. D?
Yes. E. Sorry.
Oh, you were on the E.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, Keanu here was kind of a fortunate transfer since the ship is still finishing their repairs. We managed to snag her here.
Well, then aren't we the lucky
Were you? Does that mean you were at the Battle of Sector 001?
Yes. And I spent some time with Dr. Crusher as well.
I just wanted to marvel at that for a moment because I don't run into a lot of Starfleet that have survived encounters with the Borg.
The captain's face kind of frowns a little bit at that.
It was a dreary time.
I understand.
Yes, well, I'm sure Beverly's doing fantastic. She says, kind of sneering a little bit. It might be clear to people that she's not really fond of Beverly Crusher.
Well, to each your own.
Mhm. I've done a lot of reading up on the Enterprise. It always seems to be at the forefront of a lot of legal precedent.
Well, you have that. You have that advantage when you're the flagship. You're the great flagship of the fleet.
Mhm.
Yes,
Fortunately,
indeed.
also, I suppose, fortunately for me, they got to test run all the technologies I got to work with after that.
Yes, that. You're welcome, by the way, Nira says with a smirk.
You worked on the Sovereign class also?
She smirks. No, no. I was mostly joking because I was on the original. Well, I say original. Not quite. Uh, I was on the A, she says. And, well, with the Enterprise B coming out, I was, yeah. She just kind of drinks her wine like, yeah, she just awkwardly made a joke that didn't fly.
Not only did it not fly, Jill actually kind of leans forward on her elbows. Did you ever work on the original Constitution, or was it just the refit version? I'm curious to how all the differences worked.
I was on both, she says. And, I mean, the only differences I can tell you is the differences to medical. She says, because, oh my gods, I did not stop hearing about them. If I have never met a more cantankerous old man in my entire life. Okay, I've met one other. But
I take it he didn't appreciate dropping the bone saws for bone knitters?
not particularly. They also made the beds a little bit slimmer. They took one of them out. They added a bunch of bits and bobs, and
Well, I heard that at the refit process, they had to make a number of dramatic changes to incorporate the next generation of technologies. It wasn't just a visual uplift, it was almost from the ground up. They might as well have just built a new ship.
she nods. She nods, and it's trust me, it was like watching somebody like she just shakes her head. Leonard wasn't a quiet taste.
Did they really shrink the? Did they really drop the corridors down by a quarter of a meter? Like, that most people would have to duck their heads in most places.
She nods, and the way we found out was so funny. Uh, we were coming back after it had been refitted, and we all walked up the gangplank. I was a bit behind everyone else, and next thing I knew, we heard a clunk, and then a strange Vulcan voice going, "Son of a!" I never laughed so hard in my entire life. Poor Spock, she says.
Oh, Jill lets out a huge laugh.
Poor man cracked his head on the bulkhead. It was both funny and very, very not appropriate to laugh at.
He, wasn't he a captain at the time?
She nods. She was coming. He was coming to look because we were trying. Because he was coming to check it out, and it's just so funny. Anyway, she says, so enough about my past. What about any interesting stories from anyone else?
All relative newcomers to this sector of space, right? I look
Yep.
around the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to space once before.
Doctor, the moon doesn't quite count.
I went through space. I left the atmosphere.
That's like that's the equivalent of dipping your toe in the Grand Ocean.
I've been
It sounds
snorkeling.
like, with the exception of our esteemed civilians, we've mostly been operating during the war, like mostly in the front. So we've and before that, I was mostly assigned to Sector 001, so and Starbase 1. So, I mean, I, I find myself very curious as to what other ships are operating in this sector of space. I haven't been able to go over the duty rosters to know who else has made it out here.
I
Well,
believe
the
my old
biggest
ship is out here. She says.
What ship is that?
The Gungnir. I believe they're out here somewhere, probably causing all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, you have the gun gear, you have well, there's the unfortunate case of the expedition. That was a disappointing study. What happened to them?
Yeah, I
Although
did
I hear
take an
the
opportunity.
Expedition A is going very well.
I mostly know about that situation from looking into their, the court transcripts. But it's good to hear that they've moved on from that whole unfortunate incident. We don't know any further about developments with the Ebon Expanse.
Just that it's still being investigated.
Hmm.
I
Well,
believe the new expedition is out there.
she nods. According to the report that came across my desk earlier, they're currently heading to the center of it, I imagine. If the reports are to be believed.
Well, hopefully they've learned from past events and they won't need rescuing again.
Well, at least they've got us in the area now.
That is true. From what I can tell, maneuverability is a great advantage for operating in that area. And there's only a few ships as maneuverable as us.
Okay, so the curiosity's been eating at me. What's in the box, Desesh? She says with a
Oh, just
conspiratorial
a
smirk.
housewarming gift.
Chuckling.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we're having this opportunity to just kind of get together, and well, uh, I really appreciated that Jillian had the initiative to do this. So I kind of figured it was just. I mean, we're all trying to fill up our quarters right now.
Oh. Well.
Oh, this is for me?
Yeah, you said you'd lost yours, so go ahead.
And she'll tentatively open the box.
All right. You open it up, and as you sort of open it up, it's just like, obviously it's not 300 years old, but
Just blushing.
but they have an awful lot of awful lot of patterns in the replicator.
Nira has her cup up to her mouth and she has not moved it, and no liquid has entered her mouth. She's just staring at the statue and eyeing between the two of them.
Jill is she's covering the lower half of her face, just blushing.
People looking at it, Desesh is genuinely unaware of the significance of the Horgon.
It is very sweet of you. I do truly appreciate this. And we're gonna. She's gonna put it down by the table leg.
Nira
Just for the giggles. Like,
oh, wow, that's quite the gift indeed.
yes,
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of them in the computer.
She nods.
Perhaps we should leave you two alone. I'm sure we can get into other
No.
trouble.
It's fine.
It's
very sweet. Thank you.
Quarters.
Yeah, Jill nods.
What?
a raised eyebrows, like,
oh, dear.
Raj, you don't know the significance, do you?
Well, I mean, you said that you lost yours.
No.
It was broken.
Yeah, my ex is broken because my ex and I were fighting. She will reach over and put a hand on his wrist and squeeze. And I'll explain it to you at some point in the near future.
Okay. So how are everyone else doing setting up their quarters?
I'm doing fine. Just got a couple more pictures to put up. She's the captain, you can tell, is trying hard not to laugh. Trying so hard.
And Jill has not only finished her glass, refilled it, and has almost finished it again.
Mm-hmm. Desesh is probably actually quite aware of his surroundings under normal circumstances, so is probably figuring out that he's done something wrong at this point, so he's retreating into himself.
Kiana says, "Oh no, now I need to know. Please do explain the wonderful gift. Because this is going to be good." And she takes a sip.
All right. I'm gonna have to ask for a presence command.
From who?
From Kiana.
Okay.
Let's roll with it, because I have got to know what this chuckle's about.
Okay.
This is far too interesting to let go.
I mean, I don't see a focus that applies for this. I don't know if you think one applies.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
By the way, Jake, you're going to have to copy that and have one in the captain's quarters if that's ever spotlit, because she has one too.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna buy dice for this. I don't have a focus for it either. Kiana, are you gonna buy any dice with threat?
No.
Okay. Here's Jill's.
Although she'll get an assist from the captain.
Wait, what was that? Oh, I had it backwards. It's still good. Okay, so Jill got 1.
Oh, damn.
Okay, I don't know if I can do anything with that complication. Jake, I don't know if you can either, but it's still
So I forgot to do this at the start because I figured this would come up. So I'll just go real quickly right now. For these type of social conflicts where it's kind of player on player, I'm gonna take myself out of it. Kind of how Jill had just asked for the role as opposed to me. And I think in that type of situation, I think it's fair to let each of you do that. But uh, that being said, I'm not gonna let them gain momentum, so I'm not gonna take advantage of complications either. If you guys collectively want to put in a complication, I'm perfectly fine with that. However, if you don't, you can feel free to ignore them and just go straight score based.
now that you said that, I do have kind of a so yeah, no, Jill goes we'll explain. So the Horgon is a fertility idol for our world. It's typically when it's displayed, somebody's advertising that they want to enter Jamharan, which is it's a very intense spiritual and sexual endeavor that has killed a few people at times.
I I'm sorry.
It's
I didn't. I mean,
no, you're fine. It has a lot of cultural significance for us. It was as a gift. It is a truly thoughtful gift. I simply was not expecting this.
I should have. I should have looked it up. There was 2 hours and I I just I went to the rep. I'm sorry. I mean I didn't.
Jill's blush is as bright as Mira's dress.
Kiana's just cackling with delight of just everybody's colors they're turning.
Nira has after she started explaining it, Nira has not stopped laughing and is basically sucking in air like
Vandeveer's just been nodding along with the explanation. He does not mind at all. He is completely comfortable.
It doesn't affect him. Why would it? But Raj, in all honesty, thank you.
I
the
you're
intent
welcome.
behind it was sweet.
I want you to feel at home.
Well, you've certainly
Sincerely.
done that. She takes a drink. She pours more wine in her glass.
Jill fills up her wine glass, fills up Nira's wine glass while she's drinking one of her own.
Don't forget
Raj
about
holds out his glass to let you fill it up.
Yep. It gets filled up afterwards while she's still drinking her glass.
There's some chugging happening.
I suppose, as far as icebreakers go, this was a good one.
Yep. I feel thoroughly broken.
Raised eyebrows.
You are perfectly all right.
Broken's nothing. Broken's nothing until later on.
Yes, Titanic it is.
Right. Well,
That gets an odd look of like that questioning look from Jill. What does Titanic have to do with an icebreaker?
It was a big,
Well-
beautiful ship, and iceberg took it out.
well, technically,
Oh.
it didn't break the ice. The ice broke it.
Yeah.
It was
Ah.
an early. It was an early human ship back when they only sailed seas.
20th century steam vessel.
Claimed to be
Well,
unsinkable.
I guess that I understand that then.
Now, are you sure you don't want us to leave you two in private?
I suppose I. Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure.
Fortunately,
Thank you,
it's
Jillian.
by choice, not obligation. So it is quite all right to stay.
Yes, of course.
I'm just kidding with you. Oh, don't be so serious, Araj. You're fine. Believe me, that's not the
Doctor,
worst.
Doctor. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Completely changing the subject.
Yeah, you don't look as uneasy sitting in your chair than you do walking around the ship. As they lose the Vanderveers.
I'm sorry, what?
Doctor, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself and you're enjoying the food.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about boats.
You sail?
No, I had a 15-foot single engine outboard motor. Just an old school one, go out fishing with.
Back on Earth?
Yeah, one of my colleagues, Dr. Van Landegem, had a big triple mast schooner. Shirt.
Hmm.
I haven't fished in a long time.
Well, I'm sure we can work that out. Where you can go fishing, at least on board.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only times I've ever done it have been on holodeck programs.
Hmm. I used to
What,
go kayaking. That was fun.
I imagine at some point we're going to want to do some team building. What kind of holodeck programs do people use? Like recreationally, I mean.
Well, I prefer old hollow novels of old Earth Arthurian lore. I, well, as you can tell by my dress, she says.
Yeah, I'm a big holo novel guy myself. What's your favorite?
Um, she thinks for a moment, and she'll mention the final like large battle in the tale of Arthur and Morgan Le Fay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
I'm thinking Once and Future King's coming to my head, but I'm, you know, or
Yeah,
Lamort
but there was
Arthur.
an actual battle where Arthur was killed by Mordred, and
Oh yeah, I
Morgana
don't know
was
the name of
part
the
of that.
battle. Mm-hmm. I haven't swung a sword in a while either. Uh, anyone anyone into marksmanship?
I've been hunting.
Once in a while.
I was thinking more phaser work. I mean, like I picked it up when I went into the war, and I think I'm still a pretty good shot.
Can I have access to my token? I'm more of a hand-to-hand combat kind of person.
I've got the basic training.
I can train you.
Oh, that could be a good learning experience for the two of you, she says.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, if we want to start encouraging people to, he kind of trails off.
Yep.
Still feeling awkward.
The captain kind of absent-mindedly stands up and will go to a big open area and kind of lean back, almost crab style, but like her leg goes up and then she just starts doing a handstand a little bit.
How's that work with the dress?
Well,
I guess Tasesh doesn't have to be alone in his embarrassment.
Oh no, she doesn't care. The way it falls is the way her legs kick up, it allows the dress to fall in between, so it's just kind of laying on top of her.
Okay.
Yeah, no embarrassment for the captain. She knows what she's doing. But she kind of does a handstand and then kicks back down.
I was about to say, I was pretty good with my legs too.
Oh, man. No, but you really should take lessons from her. It's quite, well, no offense, Jillian, but it's quite tragic to watch you try and train alone.
Well, throwing a body dummy is nowhere near the same as having an actual training partner.
I can imagine. Have any of you been down to the gym? It's quite impressive.
I've mostly been using the holodeck to do my training, but no, I haven't been down to the gym yet.
Oh,
Oh, it has just about everything you could think of for any type of exercise. Don't mind the punching bag. The top half of it's probably worn out by now because of me.
Would you like to? I mean, maybe before Alpha Shift tomorrow, you could show me around.
Absolutely. I'm usually there before the shift, anyways.
All right. You're, of course, you can. You're invited as well, Captain. I mean.
Oh, I'll be there already, she says.
Jill chuckles. Some of us have morning routines.
Yes, I suppose I should get into the habit. I mean, I need to. Well, I think I can handle myself on an away team already, but hand to hand is definitely an area that that I could use more practice with.
Well, plus, if Jillian's going to keep feeding us like this, you're going to need the exercise. Just to
Yeah, there
burn
is that
calories.
Well, I don't intend to stop.
And no self-respecting Ryzen would. She smirks.
Well, I mean, I don't think that we need to put this on Jillian every time, but maybe this would be a good thing for us to do on a, I don't know, bi-monthly basis, something just to
Oh, please.
keep
I
up the.
enjoyed this. My family did worked in hospitality. This is secondhand nature for me.
Captain, I don't know if I had an opportunity to update you, but I put out a call amongst the crew, and with our first contact coming up, I wanted to make sure that I knew who was musically inclined amongst our crew, and well, I think it's starting kind of on a bit of a grassroots level to start into something of a band. So I'll be certainly kind of monitoring that as I go forward. I was wondering if it might end up being something of a theater troupe, in fact.
Oh, well, that could be certainly interesting. Uh, she looks around. Any one of you have musical talents other than Arashi?
The violin.
Oh, well.
I'm a fairly competent drummer. Or percussionist, if you prefer.
I can sing.
Oh, well. It seems most of our command staff is musically inclined. So that
Oh,
should be
it
helpful.
seems like maybe we'll need to be.
That is true. Well,
I think the group was planning to meet in a couple of days. If you were all interested in making your presence felt, even if you didn't want to participate. I'll certainly be doing that. I'm making a point of trying to be supportive of any of the social occasions that are starting to develop amongst our crew. We have something of a smaller organic crew, and for that reason, uh, we can't necessarily leave these things up to just uh, spontaneous creation. Our numbers are low.
no, I agree. And after we get this business done with this first contact, I don't see why we all couldn't attend.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, it'd be good for the crew to get to know each other more. We've been so busy that it hasn't really had much of an opportunity except for a couple of functions on the rare time off that we could afford in the middle of this refit. It would do them good.
Well, that is fair, she says. Uh, Noticing that the wine is probably almost gone, she kind of frowns a little bit and says, well, looks like I'm going to have to make another call. Hopefully she make a run out here.
Well, in the meantime, Jill will get up and go to some of the other bottles, and it's not quite as red. It's a very purplish red type of wine coming out, and it's very, very berry-like, which I know Kiana would recognize it, being from Betazoid. It's Udaberry wine. Morgana might.
Yeah,
The
she
others, I'm
would.
pretty sure won't.
Oh. Well, this is excellent wine, she says, taking a sip of it.
Thank you. I mean, just because one bottle's empty doesn't mean that we have to stop.
That's fair, and well, to be fair, this kind of reminds me of my second husband.
Mhm.
Or was it third?
I get
She thinks for a moment. I get them kind of confused sometimes.
Well, if you want a reminder of another one, I know how to make a rise in my tie.
Ah. Yes, but see, I want to remember that tonight. She says, looking at Jill.
At that, Iraj pours more alcohol into his into his drink, and like kind of looks a little slumped down in his chair.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. He was all kinds of pleasant and everything, but his mother was a nightmare.
Oh, how so?
Are you kidding me? How hard is it when you have a complaint about somebody and they can question you about it immediately? Just a random thought. Oh, she just.
Um,
Don't
I
get me
can.
wrong. She was a lovely woman, but God.
Well, for many of us that actually work on Ryza, it's any complaint is taken relatively seriously. Your enjoyment is paramount when you're there.
Oh, I was talking about my Betazoid X. My
Oh,
Oh no, my Ryzen in-laws were a joy. She says.
Yeah, because I mean, we can't be held responsible for our thoughts that just kind of like, uh, I mean, he's
On
quiet again.
Betazoid you can. She says.
Jill nods in agreement. That's part of the reason why I was raised on Ryza, not Betazoid.
It can definitely be a challenge to overcome that, and I still have yet to master that.
Oh, it doesn't. It didn't help that the husband before my Betazoid was a Klingon, so I was already full of fire. She says. Speaking
Don't you
of,
just have your priority lists in order?
I mean, when you live as long as I do.
Well, you can't deny the timing could have been better.
I mean, probably, but I don't know.
What about you, Raj? Any significant others?
Uh, I, I mean, I'm a confirmed bachelor, I suppose. I mean, I've had long-term relationships, but most of them had, uh, well, most of them had fallen away before the war, and I guess I haven't really thought about it. I mean, for a while there, it didn't seem like there was much of a point, you know. I
Oh,
didn't think
there's
we were going
always
to
a
win this
point.
one. I meant in thinking about the future. I mean,
Well, I
I mean,
mean, maybe not thinking about the future, perhaps, but thinking about the here and now, having
I'm
somebody
not
is.
saying I didn't enjoy the here and now, at least while I had the chance. I'm just, I was asked about significant others, though, and that, well, that just didn't seem like he gets quiet again. Didn't seem fair.
uh, I suppose that's fair enough.
Well, how about you two, Kiana, Doctor? Anybody waiting for you back home?
No, my career's pretty much been what I've focused on, and I'm okay with that.
I'm sure there's a Tellarite somewhere who Mrs. Vanderveer is.
Not really, but I was also a fan of the idea that a gentleman never kisses and tells.
Oh, spoil sport.
Well, I mean, if he wants to be a gentleman about it.
Which is fair. Just leaves little to gossip about, though. No offense, Kiana. It's a choice is a choice, by all means.
And I mean, the, your career doesn't have to wholly exist your entire life. She says, I made it to Admiral while 8 months pregnant.
I'm just trying to absorb as much as I can and focus on, um, you know, my career right now, and then hopefully one day I'll be able to loosen the strings and, you know, work on a little bit more private stuff. But as for right now, I really truly enjoy my work.
No, that's fair. Oh. She'll kind of reach down and pet Ari's head because she's being a good girl. And say, well, as far as embarrassing stories, I'm afraid I'm out. She says.
No.
Yeah.
Doctor Hakuri, I don't know what the uh, I don't know if there's well, I've already embarrassed myself enough. I was going to ask, are you joined? Is that uh, I don't know if that's impolite to ask, but as a Trill, are you? You were just mentioning how much time you have, and well, Trill are known for having a lot more time than some others.
Yes, I'm not one offended by that question. I am joined. Um, and my semiote has led a very long life. And I am grateful for the knowledge that I've gained from it. And that's one of the reasons why I've not had any other relationships, is because I kind of been focusing on that and gaining that knowledge.
How
And yeah,
recently were you joined to the Harkari symbiote?
um, it hasn't been too long. It's been a few years. It was before the war. So we're still filling each other out, as you would say.
To admit, I don't. It's an experience that I find difficult getting my head around. Uh,
Well, it's not that difficult. It is an adjustment, obviously, when you're not used to it. But um, becoming joined, it it allows you other opportunities than one would normally get. And for that, I'm thankful to have that.
were you? How do I say this? Were you a doctor before you became joined?
I
Is that
was, yes.
so? That's Kiana's profession.
Yes.
Do you have doctors that were back in your history as well?
There was one, but most of the others have just been, well, there's been a fashion designer, a very famous one. It's a lot of artistic were the priors.
That must kind of broaden your experience somewhat. I mean, I don't know that you knew nothing about art, but several lifetimes of it suddenly.
Yes, it's quite amazing to go from somewhat talentless to having an amazing talent, and one that I always had 2 left feet, and now not so much anymore. And finding enjoyment in some of the new talents that I'm able to tap into. It's quite an experience. I wish everyone could experience it at least once to understand the benefit that it actually has to it.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you like to sing something for us now? I think I might be able to accompany you.
I'm going to need a little bit more alcohol, but definitely fun. How are you with your dancing skills?
I think I'm a little bit rusty, but it was one of the things that I used to recover after the war. So I think my tap's pretty up to date.
All right, so let's get you some more alcohol, and then we'll turn this thing into a real party.
The bottle gets pushed over to both of them.
Drinks a little bit more.
Jill will actually get up and refill Kiana's glass as well.
As long as it's not Klingon opera, I think we'll be okay.
Or
so smash cut to Desesh doing a rendition of the Razzle Dazzle by from Chicago with like a couple of like background dancers that he's called up using the using the holodeck programs, and he's like dancing on one of the holo tables, doing like a tap number right in the middle of the Big Show tune Fosse number.
Oh dear.
None of this is my fault.
We need to. Hey, Dr. Vanderveer, are you familiar with breakdancing?
The answer may shock you, but no.
Oh my goodness. That would have been the highlight of the night if you could have broke out in breakdancing. A little pop and lock.
I'll sure pop something and probably break something else.
No hips breaking. No hip breaking.
I'm sure the doctor has a few surprises for us still.
Jillian, can I get a pair of scissors?
Yes, and she'll get up and walk through a panel of the wall, then walk back through again, just showing where the wall separates the two halves of the quarters. Hands over a pair.
Yep. So
Desesh wanders back to the group. Now his feet are tapping like he's got tap shoes on, and Like she's making a tapping noises as he kind of stumbles over. He's clearly somewhat inebriated at this point.
Yep. The captain takes because she's wearing almost a full gown. Because if you see this dress, it does actually have like a train and shit on it. She'll basically cut a large chunk of it off and then cut a slit up the leg. And say, right, well, I might as well be the one to embarrass myself next. And yeah, she will also taking from Chicago, only because I've only ever seen the movie. She'll do like a Moulin Rouge kind of thing minus the taking off of the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Desesh conveniently has the program, so you've got background dancers, and he summons up a piano.
yep. And I will actually make this a roll.
Kiana will join in with you, so you're not alone.
And that's fine.
You know what? I want to roll to see how embarrassing my musical theater performance was. Go ahead.
Well, if Kiana's getting up, Jill will get up too. She's familiar with Moulin Rouge.
Oh, yep. Now I don't need backup dancers. I've got two.
There you go. I'm on the
Hey,
piano.
sister.
I'll give you an assist.
Okay. Take a threat, and here we go.
I guess Kiana and Jill can both assist too, just to see how well this thing goes off.
She gets 2.
Guess this would be presence command. I don't know.
Because she's dancing,
it's
I
up
put
to you
fitness
guys.
command.
Okay.
Jill's can go daring. What do you want to go with?
Yeah,
Same thing?
yeah.
Okay.
And then we can end it like the Rockettes.
Hey, Jill's not half bad. Kiana?
Eh.
Okay.
And now cue heart attacks.
Nah, it's actually a decent rendition.
Yeah.
Hey, even the holographic backup dancers that are unneeded look impressed.
They're kind of dressed in a cross between Bob Fosse and Dabo Dabo girls. You know, just because of Desesh's background. But yeah, so apparently I didn't embarrass myself in my dancing number either. Okay.
No, I mean, it appears wondrous new talents are being shared, and outside of a little cultural misunderstanding, there seems to be no need for embarrassment here.
There is some commonality within the group. As Vanderveers works on his next plate.
He actually hasn't ate anything since the captain mentioned being on the bridge.
Oh. And as a counselor, can the captain ask why? Like, if she looks at him, he doesn't look thrilled? Kind of what
He
I'm
did
thinking.
look thrilled, but now he just hasn't returned to it. So that's past. He
all right.
just tapered off after that. Granted, he'd already had 2 plates before, so that could easily just be him being full.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that was a lot of fun. Whoa! And she kind of stumbles a little bit from the wine in her heels.
Joel catch her and easy there. I still want to remember tonight, right?
I think we might be at the curtain, though, ladies and gentlemen. Iraj looks
Possibly.
pretty, pretty inebriated at this point too.
Yes, well. And Jill will after, if anybody needs help sitting down again. Fortunately, for walking in heels and small steps, it's a lot easier to cover being toasted. But she'll get everybody glasses of water because she cares.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is probably best we call it a night. We do have a first contact, and none of us need hangovers.
Indeed. Just
Desesh starts clickety clacking his way over to the towards the exit.
make sure to drink some more water before you go to sleep. It'll help in the morning.
He visibly drinks the water.
And stop by Medbay. I'm sure they can give you something for the pain part of it.
Well, I've
And Jill
got to
will
get
leave.
up in the morning. Apparently, I gotta go to the gym.
Yes, we'll see you there. And in all honesty, Raj, again, thank you. As unexpected as it was. And she gives him a wide smile.
Is she across the room or is she next to him?
She walked with him to the door.
Okay. He kind of like just leads his. I'm so sorry.
She'll put a hand on his cheek. Say it's okay. Sometimes it's a practical joke people play on people. It's not a problem. He did not offend me. And it's actually kind of sweet.
I really appreciate. I mean, I know you can tell, and it's very unprofessional, and I'm so sorry.
She'll put a finger on his lip.
Like when because
it's
I
okay.
can't control what I'm feeling. That's not something that I can do.
She'll push harder against his lips to be quiet. It's okay. Go get some sleep. I'll kick your ass in the morning.
Good night, Jillian.
Good night.
Right.
Clackety, 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 clack out.
And with that, I believe we will retire as well. The dinner was lovely, Jillian. Thank you.
Oh, you're
welcome.
welcome.
In the morning?
In the morning.
Kiana puts down the napkin that she'd been having over her mouth as she was giggling to what was going on and sets it down and says, normally I do my exercising at night, but I think I'll make an exception for tomorrow morning. That ought to be fun to watch. So I will
I'm sure it will.
Oh, of course.
So I will retire, but I will see you all in the morning. Again, thanks, Jillian. This was wonderful. You definitely outdid yourself.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself as well.
And the captain will smile and nod and walk out the door with her puppy.
Doctor, I sure hope you enjoyed yourself as well.
Yes, of course.
If you wanted, I suppose if you wanted to come see the excitement in the morning, you're more than welcome to join us in the gym. You don't have to participate.
I'll probably be up before you guys. I'm still doing all right.
She chuckles. All right. We'll see you tomorrow then.
Is he going back to the his office?
Vanderveer?
Yeah.
He's probably heading to his quarters.
Okay, that's fair.
And as the night goes on and everyone goes their separate ways, Captain, as you get into your quarters, and I realize I've unfortunately used the wrong quarters, but my apologies. Um,
That's fine.
as you enter your quarters, you can hear the incessant chime of an incoming message.
She'll put Ari down, let her run to her bed, and then she'll come over to her desk and hit the button.
And as you do, it says, "Please stand by for a couple moments," as you can see that it's connecting you to DS-17, and Arif's face comes up. And
Oh, great. And I was having such a good night, she says, looking up at the screen.
uh, looking back up at your face, Arif um, gives a little bit of a smile and says, "Near, that's quite a dress. I haven't seen that in quite some time."
Yes. Well, uh, Lieutenant Commander Lawson was having a dinner, so thought I'd dress appropriately. She takes the crown off and sets it on her desk.
Uh, a smirk that, well, you might actually recognize as if it was coming from a mirror crosses his face as he says, "And I see you spared no expense. Anyways, I won't take up too much of your night. There's no reason to ruin this one. I just wanted to let you know that uh, Dime has accepted residence in Deep Space 17, and I'm not sure if they've sent you a message or not, but apparently Dasan has been given well, the same invitation you have."
Okay, she says. Well, I suppose you mean to go meet with the people of Azurius, yes?
I do. He's electing to only bring a single ship, however.
Well,
So if
that's
nothing else,
probably for the best.
um, and squinting a little bit, he leans a little bit forward and says, "And if need be, I would assume that you're a little faster, but that's your own call."
Mm. She shrugs. Well, currently that can be dealt with in the morning. Right now, I'm a bit knackered and would like to go to bed. No offense, Commander.
With a small chuckle, he says, "Sure, no problem. I'll watch."
No. Good night, Arif, she says as she visibly goes to push the button to disconnect, giving him time to react if he does.
Uh, you can hear a quick chuckle, and he says, "Hey, worth a shot, just like old times."
Yeah, good night, Arif, and she clicks the button.
Uh, and with that, Arif's head disappears, and as as everyone moves to their separate zones for the night, we will fast forward a couple hours after everyone's gotten some decent decent sleep, and I will ask you guys. I've got them both set up and ready. Do you want me to move the map to the gym or to the bridge for Alpha Shift?
The gym for now. But I will say that Nira basically just collapses face first onto her bed and just screams into her pillow. All right, all right, all right.
And I guess all of a sudden we're in the next morning where, true, I believe I'm not getting the details wrong, but true to their word, a potentially embarrassed Disesh meets a potentially, I have no idea, Jill.
There's
Bodies.
It looked like there's a good place to fight in this gym, right?
yeah,
Oh
there
no,
is.
here we go. Oh no, there it is. Okay, I was looking at the pool. All right, we're
Yeah,
over
we
here.
have 2 boxing rings, uh, the gymnastic area, the
Yeah, I see
aerobics
that
gym,
now.
the
Okay,
punching bag and stuff's in the
all
back
right.
as well.
The gym is 2 levels.
Well,
It is.
Disesh woke up, and the first thing that he did was look up all the statutes on sexual harassment he broke.
All of them.
And
The short answer is all of them.
The short answer is there's a shorter list of the ones he didn't break.
And then he sort of gets himself into like kind of a kind of like a looks kind of like a basketball outfit, because that's what he has as his pre-replicated athletic clothing, and heads down to face music.
Well, at least it's something that you have a focus and talent in.
Um, yeah, if everybody's waiting to watch the spectacle begin, it would be up on that deck with the boxing ring. Jill would be when when Disesh goes up there. Jill is wearing a gi of sorts. Very much just a full karate gi. And
Yeah.
she's working on a training dummy. Very very high kicks.
Yep, the captain's
Belgi. I
on
don't know what
the.
that looks like.
It's a lot like a robe. It's very much like a robe, but it's very lightweight.
It's
How do you spell it? I want to
karate
type it into Google
outfit.
here.
GUI.
GI.
Oh, yeah, GI.
It's the karate uniforms.
Yeah,
The
it's
basic.
a gi or a dobok.
Okay, so I'm totally not dressed for this. All right, okay.
I mean, the captain you'll see is in essentially a sports bra and tights as she's, doing gymnastics routines on the mats. So,
Yeah, you can never go wrong with basketball shorts.
yeah. I mean, Guile fights in cargo pants, so
hmm
Hey, look, and we have Guile right there. What do you know?
What about Kiana? Anything different?
She's just in the typical. It's basically a sports bra and stretch pants as well, and sneakers.
Yep. So you are perfectly dressed compared to the rest of them. Jill's just being extra.
Pretty much.
hmm
She's dressing for the game. About to have a smackdown.
Well, Disesh puts on a front, but it seems kind of obvious that he both feels extremely exposed, but also kind of seems to be climbing into the ring like this is his penance. And
It's here we find out he's Catholic.
The prophets, thank you very much.
This
But
is where all the Hail Marys come in.
and
Right, you can
he's
make it.
coming in like, I guess, Lieutenant Commander, you can show me what I'm doing wrong.
Well,
Gotta keep this guard up.
guess there's no better way to get started than show me what you got, and she'll take a stance.
Kiana
No.
stops what she's doing just to come over and sit down and, oh yeah, I'm watching this show.
Now, Desesh is not terrible at this. He's actually got a 9 in daring and fitness, so he's a decent fighter. He's good. He's got a 3 in security too. So let's see how he does here. This would be daring, right? Daring security.
Yes, typically
Let's
daring
see how
security a post.
The captain, stretching on the mats, will call out, "Watch her left side. That's a stronger side. She will knock you unconscious with it."
Jill chuckles. She might be lying.
Well, Desesh is carrying on. I guess this is an opposed roll though, so let's.
I mean, she's a doctor. She can see where you put your weight every time you go to swing. If she notices you're going offset,
That doesn't mean she's still not going to say it.
oh yeah, obviously.
Okay, he rolled. Okay.
Plus, I mean, you got to remember the captain's been watching Jillian fight since she got on board every morning.
Oh, I'm holding my own.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah. You reach in for something, it gets blocked away. She comes in with a high leg that you deflect off as well. It's like, huh, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll go in again, and this time Jacob, take a threat.
Here's my penance. Okay, here we go again. All right. No. All right. Okay. Boom.
And it's just my luck. I'll get a complication on this one anyways and get knocked flat on my butt.
It happens, but I certainly am not. Looks like I've surrendered to the inevitable. Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It is exactly like it rolls.
Oh.
It's just as quick as she comes in. You are on your butt, and she is straddling your chest.
Vanderveer's in the background pumping a fist. Ooh, kick him in the head!
I warned you, her left side, every time.
Romeo down.
I kind of like tap the ground.
Yeah.
Signal contrition.
Yeah. Joe will chuckle and stand up off of his chest and give him a hand to stand back up. It's like, well, not bad for starting out. Maybe after a few weeks, we can actually get some training in on you. Of course, it's not all.
I'm getting up early for a few weeks.
She smirks with a wink. Well, there's plenty more opportunities to try to get me on the floor.
Just looks confused.
The captain is purposely she's doing a back bend and she is trying hard to hide her face. And then she's up on her hands again, kind of walking about the pads with her hands. And
Well,
for
Commander,
shifting,
you want to go again, or should we retire to the conference room?
I think we cut to the conference room at this point.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. As the morning workout winds down and everyone goes once again to their respective zones to shower up, freshen up, and get ready for work, we then find ourselves into the conference room. And give me 2 seconds, and it shall be populated. I feel like I'm missing someone.
I love the doggy bed.
Yeah, it's a replica of the one that's on the bridge by the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ari has one in their quarters, the ready room, the bridge, and the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
So at
And
the very
yeah.
beginning, I mean, with the way the morning conferences go, it's probably expected that Jill would be giving a status update of all the ship systems and departments. Which, for everything else that had gone on, she's not missing a beat as far as ship readiness.
By the time Aresh gets to the conference room too, he's actually seems to have gotten over everything. He's in his professional mode.
Yep, and the captain's got a cup of Rectogino as she sits in her chair.
Morning, Captain.
Morning. Well, it seems we will be having a guest with us on our first contact. Tangentially, at least.
Ah.
No, it's not him.
What?
Gods, I'm
There's-
so glad it's not.
There's
What are
a
we talking about?
there's a visible sigh of relief on Jill's face. It's like, well, if it's not him, then
Yeah,
who
if it's
is
not
it?
the commander, who is it?
Apparently, Dasan, the Herodian leader, also got the same summons as we did.
What?
She nods. Well, I'll say this for him. At least he had the courtesy to. At least Arif had courtesy to call and warn me beforehand. But
Oh man,
apparently,
that's a terrible footing to start this off on. The showing up at the same time as the Herodian is like that can't help but make it look like we're coming hat in hand, having just raided their territory too. I don't.
Well,
luckily
keep
for
in
us,
mind they invited both of us.
also
So
a little bit more information. We're a bit faster than they are. We can get there first.
Understood. I mean, I just it throws off and puts an X factor into this that obviously it might have been better if we had them all to ourselves. The Hirogen are not exactly diplomats.
Well, of course not, but we can't exactly stop them when the government of the planet invited them as well.
We'll
That is
roll
true.
with it, of course, Captain. It's just, I mean, I just want to take a moment to point out that this was not what I wanted to happen.
Well,
Well,
the universe rarely gives us what we want.
Jill just smirks. That's exactly what she was going to say, word for word.
Disesh keeps his eyes firmly on the captain.
Well, Captain, if the Rojan are going to be joining us, would it be possible to take an opportunity to speak with them? I'm actually very interested in how they even got into this section of space in the first place. How they crossed so much distance so quickly is rather unusual.
Well, I have faith you know how to set up your own meetings, Lieutenant Commander, and you have my permission if you'd like to speak with the leader.
Thank you.
She says,
Well,
that being
I
said... Oh, yes, Commander.
suppose this may warrant something of a change of tactics. I mean, having the Hirogen there gives us an excellent opportunity to play good cop in kind of an unknown universe. The the reality of the threat that the Hirogen, at least it posed past tense, gives us the opportunity to highlight the opportunities and that friendship can provide in the form of the Federation.
She nods. That being said, I would also like the civilian take on it as well. Hence why I'm having Dr. Vanderveers and Dr. Hakuri join us on the first contact team.
More the merrier.
She
Thank you.
nods. Well, it gives Dr. Vanderveers a chance to learn a new type of medicine, and it gives you, Dr. Hakuri, a chance to meet a new species.
I'm looking forward to it.
Something to keep in mind with first contact is everything is unknown. We will very likely see some very strange things in there. So best advice is to keep your wits about you and no threatening movements. Even small things might be a customary taboo.
So
Kira
observe
nods.
and absorb.
Yes.
Disesh, like, you know, there's like a barely discernible wince as he talks about cultural cultural faux pas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Understood,
tips
Captain.
from you.
I've
Jill
done
had
my homework,
just a smirk on
Captain.
her face. Yeah, Jill had just a smirk on her face, but then it just breaks into a laugh.
That being said,
I deserve that.
oh, Commander, I'm sure we deserve a great many things, but that's beside the point. Right, so that being said, pretty much prepare for anything and keep an open mind, as it were. And
On
like
the
oh, go ahead.
on the subject of preparing for anything, Captain, you're uh, kind of talking like we're both going. Are we concerned about keeping someone command station on the bridge? I mean, it is a diplomatic situation, but the Hirogen perhaps complicates things a little bit.
We have
She
we have a few command lieutenants that are capable of keeping house.
I'm
And
inclined to agree, Captain, but I think we need to both. I just think it needs to be addressed.
well, Commander Dillon on Beta Shift is more than capable of taking the con. Taking the con. He would be the Beta Shift leader. Like when we're not on the bridge, he's in command of Beta Shift. He's like the shift lead, as it were. He sits in Nira's seat when she's not there, kind of thing.
I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work together on this, Captain. I understand you're quite the negotiator.
I've had my moments.
And just then, the nearest comm badge actually chirps, and it's Goodman up on the bridge, and he says, Captain, it seems like we're just about ready to pull away from DS-17.
Right. She looks at Lawson and says, "Unless we want to travel there together, I suggest you make your meeting quickly."
well, we can at least travel together for. It should only take about 30 minutes. After that, we can leave them in our dust.
Of course. She'll hit her comm badge and say, Goodman, see if you can get the Herogen ship to match our speed when we take off."
Understood, Captain. I'll send it. I'll send a request right now. I'll let you know if there's any problems.
Thank you. She nods and says, "Well, we're getting on underway. I suggest we promptly put together a proper first contact package on our way there."
Muffins.
Captain, I'm gonna have a keyboard replicated so that I have a little bit more to work with if we have to communicate from the bridge in future, and I'm gonna bring along a pad that can perform a similar function.
She nods. Uh, do you would you require any help to uh, make those things? Obviously,
No,
the
I've actually
keyboard not.
been. No, they have these sorts of inputs in the computer, and I've been working on integrating what we already know with into the universal translator. I'm actually not expecting it's likely to come up.
She nods and says, "Well, doctors, you can take this time to get acquainted to your new stations on the bridge," she says.
Yes, Captain.
I'll start
And
immediately. I'll make contact when I'm ready to come back.
she nods and she says, "Well, everyone, dismissed." And she'll stand up and call Ari to her.
Mhm.
And as the puppy comes running bountifully, and everyone kind of makes their way to the bridge before Lawson has a chance to take off onto Dasan's ship. Just as you walk out, you can see um, DS-17 slowly starting to recede away as as Deers looks back and says, "Captain, the undocking went smooth as silk." And just as she says that, Goodman turns around sharply and says, "Captain, it appears we're being targeted by the station, and one of their phaser banks is starting to activate."
Right. Shields up, she says, and start moving away from the station. The further we get, uh, the less likely they are to hit us.
Um,
Well,
Jill
that
moved right
means
to the tactical console at that point.
oh yeah, and you can see on the tactical console just what Goodman has reported. 17 at the moment. One of their phaser banks is charging, and it looks like it's preparing to fire.
yep. If
What are they targeting at? Is it even possible to tell?
Um, it's you're being targeted.
So to be clear, the
Not you, Miss
station's
Lawson.
firing on us.
That is what it appears to be. Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
Captain,
ups
there
on
looks like they're targeting us.
right.
Well, then
She'll hit the button on her chair and just say, "Arif, what in the hell are you playing at?"
And in response to your question, a beam lances out quickly from the station, and as it crackles um, against your shields, you can see on screen the as it separates, and no damage is done to the shields, but as it separates, it almost looks like giant multicolored sparkles of light are bouncing all over and around your ship. And you don't get any response from the comms.
Did we just get hit with fireworks?
Return fire, Captain.
Status on the phaser, she says, looking back at Lawson.
Charged and ready for what they're worth.
I meant the station.
Oh, I won't make you roll for it. The phaser bank is powering down.
They're powering down. It
She
was.
pinches the
Seems
bridge
they
of
gave
her
us a
nose.
pyrotechnic display.
Right.
I'm assuming no damage. Oh yeah, you said no damage to the shields of the ship, so
Not in the
no
slightest.
damage. Just a lot
Oh, it
of.
does look like fireworks. Okay. She just pinches the bridge of her nose.
Let's get some distance.
Right.
Captain, permission to fire one torpedo, detonating 500 meters away from the station.
Denied for now.
Understood.
Go see about your meeting. Get us out of here, dears. While letting the Rojan know.
Absolutely, Captain. And as both the Nightingale and Dasan ship warp out, both headed to the same direction. Jill finds herself in the transporter room and beaming over to Dasan's ship. And give me 1 second to make one little adjustment. Alrighty. And as you sparkle away and reanimate within the confines of the Hirogen vessel, you can see that it is the actual bridge and not the copy of the Intrepid class. And as as the sun stands before you, um, you can see behind you there appears to be a comfortable looking couch, and he motions you towards it as he stands there with his arms folded and inquires if you would like a beverage.
No, thank you. I appreciate you taking a moment to meet with me. I believe it's Alpha Dasan. Is that the correct nomenclature? And
uh,
she'll see.
chuckling, chuckling, he says, "Dasan is fine, Lieutenant Commander."
She'll nod. If we're going with first names, you call me Jill.
Fair, well, Jill.
The re- the reason why I asked to meet is I'm actually very curious. How did you get from so far across the galaxy to here in a relatively short amount of time? Now you don't. You can tell me you don't want to say, but I am genuinely curious.
Well, I'm perfectly willing to answer you at least partially, though, quite frankly, the meal might not be quite as filling as you hope. Uh, I believe your Federation has discovered a stable wormhole in, I believe it's Deep Space Nine. Um,
She nods.
in well, that's surely not the only stable wormhole in the galaxy. We've managed to found yeah, we managed to find one, and well, quite frankly, it managed to shave some of the years off of our trip, and it was quite the boon.
Oh, indeed. Would you be willing to share the endpoints of that wormhole? All
Eventually,
right.
undoubtedly. However, I don't believe we had our relationship foster enough, and that's quite a big piece of information.
She'll smirk at that and with a nod. I understand, and hope I get. One would assume, hopefully in the future, we can get a better relationship to where we can share such information. And I have to admit, you do seem to have us at a rather disadvantage with how much information you have on all of our regulation technologies, and we only have and she'll ditch around so much information on yours.
That's fair. And he says, after actually visibly thinking about it for a few moments, he says, I'd be happy to forward you some information about my people. It might prove helpful in dealing with the renegades of the pack. But well, I'll be honest with you, Jill. I think that if you would I think you'd have a better chance at understanding my own projected way of life by reading your own regulations and your own history over ours.
Have you assimilated so much of our regulations? That's how you live.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You were breaking up a little bit.
Have you assimilated yourself into our regulations so much that that is how you live now?
It is how we intend to live. I believe you may find us slightly more practical in our applications of force. However, that doesn't mean that we don't strive for the same ideals. For example, I don't believe the Federation would have been quite so eager, or maybe even willing, to destroy one of their own vessels.
Well, surely you understand we do have circumstances that would require us to do so.
Indeed. And would you have done so under those circumstances? Under my circumstances?
Not likely. The ship would have been hauled off to. If it was a Federation ship, it would have been hauled off to our nearest starbase for repair and refit. It was still a viable frame.
It was, Dasan says with a shrug, but sometimes making a point is more important than something in your hand.
She nods. And such a thing is important to your culture.
Oh yes, we definitely are one. We do like to keep our word, and I did say I was going to destroy that ship, so it would be awfully well.
It would be improper for you as a Herosian to not follow up on your word.
Or as a Federation civilian, I would think.
She nods.
Not that I am, mind you, simply pointing out a similarity.
Indeed. Which does bring up another question. Do you eventually seek Federation membership? Even if it's just your own group and not the Herosian overall?
That's an interesting question. I doubt it. I believe we'd like to remain independent, but who knows what the future will hold, and I won't be the leader of my pack forever, so someone will succeed me, and perhaps they might feel differently, but I believe until we've had a couple generations of truly understanding our new life, we wouldn't be in the best position to be members of any unified government.
I can understand that. As much as such a dramatic change to at least what I'm aware of your history and culture. This is a very stark contrast, and well, like you said in our last meeting, not everybody would agree with it. So, change takes time.
That it does, and I gather, of course, you must have your suspicions given our previous history. Not personally, of course, but our two peoples. But there's really nothing I can do about that, so I'm not going to bother to try.
It is natural.
As well, it
Although,
should be. I'd be disappointed otherwise.
she'll chuckle at that. And as much of a good showing as you've put on, it's still something to wrap our heads around of an outside entity just diving so deep into our own way of life. Like, I don't think I've heard of another culture completely absorbing our own ways before joining. Usually it's an appreciation of, and then joining, and then finally assimilating. You seem to be doing it, to be honestly, backwards. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it is unusual.
Well, you can't start change without having a good idea. The Federation presented us a good idea.
She'll nod. And, well, I understand that we happen to both be going to the same place, and I'm sure you have your preparations to do. As short as this discussion has been, I do appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully there'll be time for others.
shrugging a little bit, he says, I quite frankly hope so too. And as to the opportunity, I'm sure we'll be able to make those plentiful. I intend to stick around this area of space, and, well, quite frankly, I have some work ahead of me to deal with the stigma that these, well, uninformed, misaligned Herodian are creating for me.
Well, we know which ships are belong to you, and you know our rules. And Jill will actually get up from the couch and offer her hand out to him.
He
and
will definitely take it.
and you know our rules, so you can't really feign ignorance if we have any issues with any of your ships. The rogues, on the other hand, we understand.
Of course, he says. And though we also know that we are not currently in Federation space, all of my ships have been ordered to, well, treat the Nightingale as if we were.
Well, I would hope that would extend to the other of our ships are in our area as well.
Well, that will, quite frankly, be on both your ability and my ability to be diplomats. I can only promise my own loyalty. As to these unknowns, he gives a shrug. He says, I'm not.
Of course. Of course. And as far as conduct among the rest of our fleet, I was only referring to you and yours. The rogues are going to be just that, rogues.
And as Dasan nods, he says, well, hopefully the rogues will be dealt with swiftly so we can put that behind us and start taking the next step.
Well, for what it may be worth, I hope you have a good hunt.
Uh, Smiling, he says, um, he says, well, given that most of my time these days is spent in preparation and, well, hunting for knowledge, I give myself quite the hunt daily. However, this is just routine, not routine. This is just, well, matter of matter of routine.
Oh, so you praise yourself on the hunt for knowledge.
Seems like a better output.
She nods. That is understandable. Well, again,
Puts me.
I should be I should be returning to my ship and finishing our preparations as well. And I hope the your meeting with the Azurians go as well as ours.
Very well, Jill. The sun says you are, of course, welcome back whenever. And perhaps after we finish the meeting, you'll be able to return the favor. That, quite frankly, the ship looks quite pretty from the outside.
The Nightingale is a wonderful ship, and I'll speak to my captain about that.
Uh, not smiling, but nodding slowly. He says, "So it must be. I know the Deep Space 17 commander Reef talked quite some length about it."
She smirks at that because everything she wants to say is very poor form, so she's going to choose to not say anything at all.
Excellent.
But yeah, with
and
that, she'll say her final. She'll say her final goodbyes and head back to the Nightingale.
very well. And as you beam in and head back to the bridge, I'll flip us there as the crew gets ready for the. So I guess I should ask: are we kind of planning to zoom ahead of the Hirogen?
Yeah, if nothing else, to give us a couple of hours ahead of them to uh, ease her XO's mind as much as she can.
Hey, that's
Well, I'll
certainly fair.
actually. I would actually probably want to defer to Lawson's opinion on this because I think that there is merit to keeping the Hirogen on our side, uh, and I think that there is, like as I said, we just have to change tactics and maybe use them as the bad cop. Uh, but have so I'd kind of like to know what her opinion is based on what she heard on her away mission.
Sure. Why don't we, instead of bringing us back to the conference room, it's about the time that Joe would be getting back to the bridge anyways. Why don't we find out?
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
would lay that out.
Joel. Yeah, Joel will come back in and take that other seat. Oh, that was an interesting discussion.
No.
What's the broad strokes?
They found a wormhole
What?
to cut their distance. Apparently, it's another stable wormhole that they were not willing to share the locations of the 2 points, but there may be opportunity in the future if we garner up some goodwill.
There's a second one?
Very similar to your celestial
The
temple.
Celestial Temple.
She nods. Except it connects the Delta Quadrant to our somewhere around our sector of space.
And they
He
know
said,
where it is?
yes, they know where it is. That's how they got here. Um, maybe in the future they'll be willing to share that information with us. But considering we're still in, our relations are not very high. Well, I should say they don't know us very well. They're not willing to share just yet. But the San did express he intends to stay on our side. So it seems. Him and his are completely assimilated into
You're
not
actually
quite
punching
Federation
with that
culture.
word.
Their version of the logs that they managed to
They
acquire.
it seems they completely operate by our regulations. At the very least, they use them to the farthest extent their culture allows. To the point that hunting is a secondary, or at least physical hunting.
Oh, well, that's a bit odd.
So,
It is.
Lieutenant Commander, what do you think? Do we need to get ahead of them, or do we think we need to further nurture our relationship with them by a joint appearance?
It's hard to say. showing up together will give the impression that we have a commonality of some kind, while showing up ahead of them will give us first chance to give a solid impression of the Federation itself. The Rohirrim Dasan has made it clear that he is not that he's not he's not intending to join the Federation. Perhaps another generation or so later, when everybody has acclimated to Starfleet and Federation ways, it is hard to say. It would be a 50-50 gamble of if we show up early and that puts us at a sour disposition to the Rohirrim, but a better appearance to our new visitors.
I'm not going to pretend, Captain, that finding out about that wormhole didn't skew the metric for me a little bit. That's a fairly vital piece of intelligence they're sitting on.
Well,
sorry.
Here's what I propose. There's nothing to say that this Dasan isn't a reasonable person. If he knows Federation ways as well as we give him credit for, then he would understand if we just told him we're going ahead for, optics reasons.
Well, Captain, he was able to recite regulations by the numbers. Many Academy professors aren't even that sharp.
I can't even do it, and I wrote 12 of them, she says.
Well, I'm sure you can at least recite a couple of them. 1, 2, 1, 65.
I, as a player, cannot, but she. I'm just saying there are a lot of them, and even though she was an admiral in the past and wrote some of them, she can't even remember them all. So
no, of course.
It's impressive.
Son knows them all.
Which is why she's giving him the benefit of the doubt in this moment. So why not relay our plans, and that way we garner good relations with the Hirogen, and we get to, for lack of a better phrase, put our spin on this first contact.
It'll be interesting to see how they follow our first contact protocols.
And Dasan did mention a desire to tour the ship. I haven't committed us to anything as of yet. That's obviously your decision as the captain.
Perhaps after this is done and over with and we're all safely back at DS-17.
Muttering under her breath, safety being an operative word.
She'll
Captain,
chuckle a little bit.
Does anyone else feel a little stalked by this this fan fiction, like of following all of the Federation regulations? I just find myself concerned, and I wonder, maybe we should be particularly careful about how we present ourselves, given their being somewhat sticklers for the rules.
Well, just because he knows all the rules doesn't mean he's necessarily going to follow them. That's up to them to. Well, it's up to us to see how well they follow those rules, just because they know them. It's also not in their culture to follow with the same ideas we follow. So it'd be a real judge of character to see how well they comport themselves.
It seems like the Hirogen are going to be working with us for the foreseeable future. Does anyone else want to maybe go on a hunt, try to get ourselves a little bit more aware of their culture? I could maybe put something together, a program.
It's going to be difficult to judge because if they are doing as they say, we'll be seeing a lot of our own culture in them. Honestly, what we'd be looking for is differences. How well do they adhere to our regulations?
Well, I think
We know how they should be acting, but not how they will be acting.
I think it's in our ethos as the Federation to not demand assimilation from people. Though I think that it would be respectful and perhaps appreciated if we were to show some appreciation for, even if they are antiquated by the more modern sensibilities of these Hirogen, it might be worth it to at least understand where they're coming from.
I would like to point out that, again, if anybody is looking at Nira, the moment Araj said assimilation, she flinched.
It's lowercase.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
Jill's
She does not like that word.
Jill's gonna let out a breath. Say, Captain, and she'll actually. Well, where is Nira's hands at? Are they on the armrest or in her lap?
They're kind of one's kind of on the armrest, and the other one's just kind of, just kind of hanging about. She's kind of leaning on one arm.
Jill goes so far as to even put a hand on her upper arm. So, Captain, you understand we're using the definition of the term. We don't mean to imply where I think you're going with this.
I am well aware, but unfortunately, involuntary physical responses are something that, well, can't really be helped.
And she'll give a slow nod. I understand.
She nods. Right. Lieutenant Goodman, if you could put together a message telling filling the Hirogen in on our idea of going ahead. She says, if you could put that together and send it to them, that would be great. Actually, no. She doesn't say Goodman. She says she'll get her yeoman to do it. Sorry.
Alrighty.
Lita. Sorry.
Yep.
I forgot I had one until I looked at her on the on the thing. It's like, oh crap. Her yeoman is Lita Madrigal
Yeah, it is.
in the command section.
Okay. And as she rushes to do just that, a couple minutes later, she says, she reports back, Captain, it appears that we've got a simple message back. And all it says is, oh, thanks for letting me know. Good luck. And there appears to be, well, it's weird. It seems to be a large amount of information on the Hirogen species. I don't honestly know why he sent it.
Could you send that to my terminal?
Of course, Commander.
It's a gesture of goodwill.
Now I'm starting to think these Erogen are psychic.
We
All
spoke a
they
little
know.
bit of sharing information, and I did make it known that they know more about us than we do of them. I believe this is an attempt to balance the field. Wasn't sure if he'd actually follow through with it.
It's certainly an appreciated gesture.
It is a step in the right direction, I suppose.
Well then, I suppose we should get on our way. Uh, is it Lieutenant Deers?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Just gonna say, Lieutenant Deers, take us towards the rendezvous point, Warp 8.
All right, Captain. And as you all settle back in, this is a couple-day journey. Is there anything that anyone would like to do on screen during it?
Nothing here.
No.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, not really.
Is there anything anyone would like mentioned that maybe happens off screen?
Jill working on the runabouts for the moment, getting the runabouts adapted as discussed.
Fair.
The captain is putting together a first contact package thing, and
Muffin
probably no muffin basket. Um, actually, yes, muffin basket because you
Thank you,
mentioned it.
Jesus.
And she's probably annoying her yeoman with stories of Eld, much like another person in charge does to their young assistant.
And it's just eaten all up.
There
Listening,
there
nodding
might
along.
be a scene of Desesh like just cut to him like going over the Hirogen information and probably do like legitimately trying to do a hunt on on the holodeck, not for humanoids, but some sort of monster of some kind.
Oh, excellent. I like
He's
that.
going dragon slaying.
Well, I can only suggest the lost sailings of Teteria 5.
Okay.
And as everyone has a relaxing or, well, potentially relaxing in Desesh's case, couple days as the excitement and tension of first contact begin to build. Why not? We'll just cosmically time it. So, about 45 minutes into Alpha Shift, Deers turns around and says, "Captain, we're still a couple hours away from the system, but we're close enough to start getting telemetry."
Excellent. Very well. Get a scan of the system. Just a quick once over.
All right. Well, whoever my scan taker is, um, why don't they give me, and they can be assisted if desired, but why don't they give me a control science difficulty 2?
You said you want to take it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll take the scan.
Said control science.
Difficulty 2.
Let's see.
I have a phone.
You can use your talent for a focus.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, she'll be using her join talent to have to get a focus. In oh shoot, what would work for this?
I mean, sensors, scanning. If you want it. Well, actually, why am I the one saying this? Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with sensors. Is that? I guess the ship can assist. Did it even roll? Oh, it did.
The ship can definitely assist with, and the human can assist as well, with sensors, science.
Can I just do the Riker lean and assist with command? Just like go over there and
I'll
no.
Jill will assist. Jill can help do stuff anyways with an assist anyways. So go ahead and roll for the ship. Here's Jill, and with that, Kiana can re-roll one of those zeros also. Doesn't do much, but let's see. So that's still 2. So we got the success, and we gain a momentum for that for Jill's open and insightful. Plus the other 2.
All right. So putting 3 momentum on the board. Let me find this. As you
At
get
11:30 at night.
I know. So I will at a certain. So there is a couple scans and stuff we can do in the system. I will give you guys the chance if you want to start um, deciding when you might wanna call it. Just because I know we are getting late.
Well,
But
I figure if we're almost to the system, we kind of want to do the first contact for the whole system or game, probably. So doing it with like 26 minutes left.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end when we get to the planet. I was just sort of expecting that would be the break point.
no, that's fair. And in all fairness, the party did go on for about an hour longer than I expected it to, but it was awesome. So I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna like." There was no way I was gonna cut it off. But
No, I get it.
yeah, but yeah. So as and I will give you the note for this too. As you do kind of a once over on the system, you can see that there are 4 planets. It's the first planet is a Class D or a barren and rocky planet. The second planet is a water-based world with a single moon in orbit. The third planet is a Class I or a Neptunian gas giant, whereas the fourth planet is Class E, a glacial ice world. And though it is not on the map, which I'm about to shift to, um, there is an asteroid belt that basically rings the system entire. And should you guys want to take a more detailed look of any of these objects, that's more than acceptable too.
That is. Well, that's interesting. I'm assuming the small sun is to give us depth of distance.
It is, and you know what would be a good idea is if I put text markers on which planet is which. So allow me to do that right now. Now let me make them a little bit bigger.
Now, when they contacted us, they like we got like an indicate the communique is like of this like space station, right? The image that was under communique.
It was. Let me pull that up again. A space station is not the world's worst. I mean, it's an incorrect term, but I can see why you went there.
Oh, okay. Is this underwater? Is that what I'm seeing here? Now that I look at it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So obviously we should take a closer look at that water world.
Okay.
Well, the coordinates put us at. Well, which planet did we get pointed to again?
The coordinates put you at the second planet, the water world. Sorry.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
So, do we want to spend like? I mean, we might as well spend some momentum here for asks. Could we get a determination of like maybe how many of these structure can we identify structures on the water world? Possibly how many of them there are?
For that, I'd say you could certainly use the momentum, but I'd ask you to use it on a specific planet scan, as opposed to just a question.
So you'd want us to roll again, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so a lot of times how I do it, so the system scan kind of gives you an outline of what's in there versus, uh, so for example, if you were to choose any of the actual planets and scan them, they all have, some either a little or a lot more information, but the system is kind of like the overview or the forest scan
Okay.
versus the trees.
Well, while we're still on the overview, could we could we do a quick spend to see if there are any environmental hazards within the system? I'm particularly interested if what's happening in the Ebon Expanse goes this far out.
Oh, okay. That I won't. I will not charge you momentum for, and just flat out tell you no. Um, Unless I'm trying to hide it, I would have put a hazard out on the system scan, so you have nothing to worry about there. And in terms of the Ebon Expanse, while you do know that there was a 5 light year circumference bump a week or so ago. We're at this point so far removed from the Ebon Expanse that while we could get there in a week or so, what's happening there is unlikely to be occurring in what's happening in any of this space without another huge, huge expansion.
Just making sure.
What about other ships in the area?
Shipwise, which I probably should have put in the actual thingy. Um, they mostly there are ships interspersed with that through this system. They are the ships that you have already seen. I'm sorry, not necessarily the exact ones, but uh, of the same make and model, along with a couple different ones. For the most part, they're clustered around the second planet and the moon, but there's I don't want to say an even distribution spread out through the system, but there's uh, obviously a tactical deployment.
Mhm. Like, is the number of ships in the hundreds? Like, was the 12 that we saw just like a small fraction of their civilization, or?
It wasn't a small fraction. There's about 40 ships throughout the system.
Okay.
Most of them are the smaller vessels, but you could see a good half a dozen, um, uh, I guess, command ships, for lack of a better word. Sorry, I'm trying hard not to say their actual names.
Just keep it ambiguous so I can be culturally disrespectful and
Yeah,
call them
yes.
Harmonites.
Hopefully. I was gonna, you know what? We'll get into that one next week. We're gonna have to, but yeah.
I'm telling you,
All I'm gonna say
one
is,
of the Hollow teams is going to be named the Harmonites.
so I guess I'll erase this Harmonite system that I made just for you. But yeah, there and for what it's worth, as the ship approaches, though you are still a couple hours out, it doesn't appear that there doesn't appear to be any sort of formation switch or indication that they're um, I guess coming out to meet or to challenge you, I should say.
Although, Captain, it may be good form to at least announce our arrival in the system.
She nods. And we will do that. She will contact the planet and let them know that we're arriving.
Um, well, you know what? Why not? Goodman um, looks back and says, "Hailing frequencies open, Captain."
Mm-hmm. Uh, and assuming that the musical program thing is running, she'll say, "This is Captain Nira Morgana of the Nightingale. We've come at invitation," she says. She
Um,
waits.
a couple moments later, you end up getting a reply, and as the image comes on the screen, you're treated actually once again to the same woman that you talked to earlier. As once again you see the your own ship reflected in the view screen, and though this time, thankfully, without the Hirogen entourage. as she says, oh, what does she say? Um, uh, um, she says, uh, Captain Morgana, um, I'm NK of the Azurians. I'd like to thank you for accepting our invitation and being punctual.
Of course.
Uh, she then goes on to say, um, I see that you've undertaken a scan of our system. I would recommend that you take a closer scan. Once you get closer to the planet, our atmosphere, while not detrimental to those like you, well, you'll find it uncomfortable, and you should be prepared for that, she says without changing her facial expression.
The captain will nod. Very well. We should be approaching shortly, she says.
Yes, we are aware.
She
Uh,
nods.
uh, and as she says, as you get closer, you'll be sent information. You're to make your way to the second planet, and we will be giving you specific coordinates to um, the city we call Blue Coral.
Well, thank you very much. We look forward to speaking with you.
And without a word, she reaches and hits a button on the console, and the view screen shuts off.
Mm-hmm. And she'll have Deers take them in at impulse, or at like quarter impulse or whatever. And then she'll look
Um,
at the first and second officer and say, well, here we go.
Session odds. Take us in.
all right, and as you guys proceed in, are you gonna take any more scans, or are you simply just gonna kind of wait to be contacted?
No, she'll take scans, or she'll have them take scans.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Uh, what are we looking at?
Um, I'll take this one. Yeah, we'll scan the planet and compare the coordinates we were given. Let's see what we're looking at. Um,
Alrighty. Momentum wise, I know it's kind of late, so it doesn't matter a huge amount, but momentum wise, it's gonna be a difficulty two, but it's gonna go up to 4.
all right. We'll use all three. We'll take 4 dice, and we'll have the ship assist. Oh damn!
Ooh, nice. Good.
Okay. Oh, let me get the. What did I do with the ship? All right, gaining one of the momentum back. You can tell, well, quite frankly, a number of things about the planet once my roll 20 behaves. There we go. Okay. The planet, and once again, I'll show this out all to you after I say it, but the planet is, this was the second planet, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, the planet is 90% ocean with only a few islands poking from the ocean surface. There isn't any real land-based life. However, there's a number of amphibians that populate the planet, and the world is largely temperate with thick ice caps at the poles. Um, the ocean currents follow the traditional Coriolis patterns, flowing east to west near the equator and west to east near the poles. A nearly constant string of thunderstorms exist along the equator, and vibrant and uh, the sorry, I'm just looking at bad English on my part, but there is vibrant and beautiful. It is vibrant and beautiful with many bioluminescent species and plants standing out in the dark depths of the oceans. Um, Not only that, but you can pick up many creatures, or many different ones. Um, some of them of a size that could, well, quite frankly, conceivably be a threat to you. Uh, However, there are pockets of obvious safety within the planet in places that appear to be caves and what looks like constructed cities.
As Jill's relaying all this information, world, the planet is appears to be one giant ocean.
Well, I hope everybody can swim.
Is can we identify in the city that we were told to meet at? Can we identify? Is it possible to detect that there's a breathable atmosphere within that city?
Ooh, just because this one's interesting, I'm gonna make the difficulty 0, but I'm gonna put it in its own separate role. Um, Give me a control science or a control medicine.
We'll do control science on that. And where do you want to take it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do control science. Still have the ship assist, and we said difficulty 0, so we'll go with that.
Alrighty, and I closed the ship, so you know what? I'm just gonna use the sheet.
And because of that,
And
I'm gonna re-roll that 1-0 for technical expertise, so 3 successes.
alrighty, and I'm actually so I'm actually gonna freeze your momentum because I'm about to wrap it at the end of this. But as you scan the environment, you realize that within the cities, and just for the hell of it, yeah, no, you know what? Within the cities, it appears that the environment, while it's submerged in water, it's pretty full of, well, it's almost entirely full of liquid itself. However, as instead of the the salt ocean that surrounds it, um, what is in it is essentially oxygenated liquid. Um, and just because I know both were about to end anyways, and that's a particular part that Vanderveer was had his eye on. I'm actually gonna basically bring us to the to be continued with that. As I frantically try to amend my actual end screen. There we go.